Hey folks, back again with another vlog. This is Gravity Falls Season 1, Episode 18. So this was actually a pretty good one. I think what's happening is the show is starting to figure out ways that they can have a single plot, but have, like, multiple character threads within it. So, for example, in this episode, we only had the one plot of pursuing the pterodactyl to rescue Waddles, but within that, we had basically two separate relationships that were being explored, being strained and tested. Specifically, the one between Stan and Mabel, and the one between Dipper and Seuss. This is a good approach for the show, because I've commented before that when they've only got one plot, it tends to be a little thin, and this is a way to give it a little bit more density. And the result was a good and entertaining episode. Plus, any episode that has Old Man McGuckin in it automatically gets points because he's hilarious. I especially loved at the end of this episode, he ate his way out through a dinosaur. That was great. And he got his spoons back. I mean, at this point, he's now, like, I would be totally fine with him graduating up into the cast. You know, somebody who shows up in every episode. Probably not as like a main character, as somebody who gets explored in detail, because he is still ultimately basically just a one-joke character, but as somebody who shows up frequently, I'm totally happy with that, like, you know, like Waddles. Which also this episode had Waddles in it, and that's also automatic bonus points, because Waddles is adorable. Nothing quite as good as Businessman Waddles, but Pig Dance Party was still pretty great. The commercials were the two commercials were very funny. So a lot of good stuff going on in this episode. One thing that struck me as a little odd, I mentioned this way back in, like, I think the second episode. It was a very early episode, where they were using those disposable film cameras, and I thought that was a little strange, and I wondered when this show is set. Well, now, Dipper has a dark room. He has multiple film cameras that use, like, actual film. Do they even still sell film? I mean, where's he getting it? And this isn't like, Batman the Animated Series, which I've been writing about for the past year now, which is deliberately anachronistic. It deliberately mixes elements from multiple decades to give itself a sort of timeless quality. This show has a lot that seems to place it pretty firmly in, 2000s, 2010s. But then there's these odd little things, like the film camera. And I guess mostly it's there just so that Seuss can let the light in and screw up the dark room, but even that's a little strange. Like, how many kids watching this have even seen film? How many of them know that light ruins it? Like, how many kids, I honestly don't know. I assume the kids watching this show are 10, 12, and so their memories probably go back, 2008 at the earliest? Have these kids ever seen a photograph that you had to develop? Do they even know what that is? I honestly don't know. So yeah, the way film keeps showing up is a little odd to me, but okay. You know, it's not something that throws me out of the show or anything like that. It's just a strange thing the show does. Other than that, we see something interesting here, sort of a callback to the episode where they were all falling. And Stan told that story that made himself out to be this great hero. And he does that here again, but by the end of the episode, he's actually doing it. He punched a pterodactyl in the face. Not many people get to say that. You know, Stan has clearly spent his many years, probably his entire adult life, as kind of this, you know, petty con man who exploits tourists and grasps for advantage however he wants. But he really does seem to have this fantasy of himself getting to be a hero. And it's interesting that Mabel and Mabel's well-being is able to bring that out. Because, of course, you can't be a hero while being selfish. It doesn't work. You're not a hero. Which is not to say that you have to be 100% altruistic, because that's not possible. Nobody is ever completely without concern for themselves. But you do have to have some, you know, consideration for others, desire to protect others, desire to help others, because that's what a hero is. So, Stan has always fantasized about this, I think. You know, his story in that episode, what happened, you know, his lie in this episode certainly seems to suggest that it's something that comes easily to his imagination. And so, now he actually got to be the hero. So did Seuss. Seuss doesn't have that as his fantasy, though. Seuss just, you know, likes people and wants them to like him back. And I liked, you know, his and Dipper's plotline in this episode. It was sweet. And it was nice to see Dipper grappling with a part of adulthood that isn't, you know, Wendy. That isn't getting his dick wet. Not that I think that that's the entirety of his interest in Wendy, but come on. That's what his stories of him grappling with adulthood have mostly revolved on. But this time it was about, you know, actually relating to other people in a mature way. It was about being friends with someone and being able to express that there's a problem with their behavior in a way that doesn't completely shut them down or drive them away. And that can be a hard balancing act. You know, basically, this episode was about him learning the importance of tact. Because he had only 2 modes in this episode. Say nothing or yell at Seuss. And he needed to find that in between. And yeah, it helps that Seuss saved the day, and Dipper could praise him for saving the day and apologize in that way. But I think, and I hope, that Dipper will be a little bit better going forward at expressing when he has a problem with someone in a way that isn't an attack. Because that's an important part of being an adult. And it's a difficult part. So, and, you know, again, that's a big part of what this story so far seems to be about, is the transition from childhood to adulthood. I think in a lot of ways, Like, all the magical goings-on, the supernatural, the cryptids, could be interpreted in that light. They're the unknown. And what's more unknown than your future? Though this episode was more about the unknown past, wasn't it? And we've got one of those, too. Because we have whoever wrote the books. We have whatever's going on with Stan. There's something... the mystery of the show is located mostly in the past. But we've also had glimpses of the future. We have that time traveler. We have Stan's warnings about the apocalypse. Things like that. But yeah, overall, it's a good solid episode. It was a lot of fun. Nothing spectacularly deep. Not that the show ever really is. But it was fun, and it was interesting, and it was entertaining, and I got some stuff out of it, and we got some character relationships that we haven't seen much before, because we've mostly seen Mabel in relation to her friends or to Dipper. We've mostly seen Dipper in relation to Wendy or Mabel. It was nice to see them, some exploration of their relationships with other characters, to see them, having conflicts and coming to terms, and kind of opening up new ground. Plus, Stan saved Waddles. It'd be fun to have, that kind of, the same kind of curmudgeonly, but gradually coming to show that he really does care about them, kind of thing that Stan has with Dipper and especially Mabel. It's starting to develop, it would be fun to see him starting to develop that with Waddles as well. Not as like a major plot line or as something that happens a lot, but just little bits here and there. When it comes up that the two of them interact. Other than that, I think the only real observation I have about this episode is at the end when Mabel announced that she'd been cheating for the last however many turns it was at poker. Hands, sorry. And Stan, is like, that's my girl. It occurred to me that I can't remember the name of the Bob's Burger character that has the same voice actress as Mabel. I cannot talk today. I can't remember the name of the actress that has the same name as Mabel. I am blanking on it completely. It's the bunny ear hood girl. It's been months since I've seen Bob's Burgers. That's why. No, I'm blanking completely on it, but it occurs to me that she is basically Mabel if she'd been raised from the start by Stan. And for some reason that amuses me. I like that Mabel is a distinctly different character. She's a lot more warm-hearted and caring about others and more innocently playful than the character whose name I can't remember, who has a little bit more of a sadistic streak to her. Both very funny characters, very entertaining, but Mabel is a bit of a nicer person. So I'm not saying that I want Mabel to become that character, I'm just saying, it amuses me to see a little bit of that in Mabel, because, it is the same actress, and they're both great characters, so. Nope, completely blanking on the names of everyone in that family except Bob. Total brain fart. Oh well. I'm gonna go start this rendering and watch another episode. One other thing I want to note is, if I've done my math right, then we are very near the end of the season, Well, only by the time this shows up on publicly on YouTube as opposed to on the Patreon, we will be very near the end of the season on the Patreon. So I am going to start the suggestions box officially with this video for people to start suggesting what I watch next. So basically, if you have a suggestion, comment on this video on Patreon. So this is only open to Patreon backers who have access to this video. But make a comment there and make a suggestion of what you would like for me to watch next. I will review all the suggestions. I will pick at least one of them, maybe more. I will be having at least one option I suggest, unless somebody independently suggests it in the suggestion box. And then I will post, 2 or 3 options for people to vote on a future video. So, thanks, and, anything you want to suggest, I'm open. See you guys later.